Prose poem. I wrote as a kind of around high school, college. I was doing more poetry, and then end of college, and then grad school, really more fiction. And so I think I loved writing fiction, but at a certain point, it seemed like something about the shorter nature of the prose poem, or the more compressed nature, kind of spoke to me. Like being able to boil things down more. Maybe it feels in some ways like a way of having it all, like kind of getting to tell a story and capture a moment. I started really seriously writing prose poems when Michelle and I were living in Russia for a year, actually the year we met our daughter, and something about just the fragmentation of the society there and what we saw around us, and a lot of danger, a lot of unpredictability, and somehow like the fiction project I was working on, and I love fiction, I love reading good fiction, but the fiction project I was working on didn't feel right. Like the prose poems I was writing felt more like they were helping me get through things, these sort of fragmented bits of what was going on and what I was seeing, versus fiction. The simplest ways is just when I start changing things back that I've changed, like in revision. That's just like the simplest way that I know. It doesn't tell me, is this piece awesome? But it usually tells me, have I done the most that I can do with it? So that's probably my big way of telling that. And I tend to do a lot of revision, and I tend to condense. So these pieces were generally longer and then got shorter. And I'm trying to expand my form, and the project I'm working on right now, the attachment project, I'm trying to write almost more as like short essays that are still short, but they're a little longer than I usually do. It's sort of like pulling taffy or something, like if you picture a piece of like taffy, like saltwater taffy, and it's like this, it's like this big, and then if you stretch it, it's this big. Now, you probably couldn't stretch it this far, it's gonna break, but I'm thinking, okay, my style right now, I can maybe take from here to here, So I'm working on that, but I'm still finding as I'm revising these pieces, so I'm trying not to condense as much, but that's still a big part of my revision process, because I feel like I usually have extra stuff that isn't as resonant, or is maybe more cliched, or okay, I've heard that before, so is someone else, or I'm just repeating what I already said. So I pull all that out and kind of, condense it. And so there's usually that process, there's all this, revision, and then I'll look at it again and again, deciding to make a paragraph break, then deciding to take it away, take it away, and then eventually it's like, okay, I'm just changing the same thing over and over, just find the place that you keep changing it back to and leave it. So that's one way of saying, here it's done. And then in terms of, am I really happy with it? That can get weird, because if you've read something over and over and over enough times, like it doesn't even, has anyone had that experience? Like it doesn't even say anything. You're just like, I don't even know what this is, So it can go in stages like that. Like there's a manuscript I'm sending out right now that I'm at that point with. So I'm like, I don't even know what any of this is doing, even though I've worked on it a lot, maybe because I've worked on it a lot. But I do think there can be those moments when you're like, okay, I like this. I like what I've done. I feel proud of it. I feel good about it. It's the best I can do right now. I'm going to put it out there. And then I think usually when you look back, like when I look back now at Scrap after, publishing it a couple years ago, or finishing it anyway a couple years ago, or on my first book, Home Studies, it's like I have a sense of like pride and also affection, and it might not be, oh, this is the most perfect work in the world, but it's like, I'm proud of that, I'm fond of that. And then in terms of other people, I feel like tastes vary so much, that you're never gonna make everybody happy or interested in what you're doing. So the best thing is if you have some kind of audience that appreciates you. And if you're writing sci-fi, it's gonna be a certain slice, and other people will be like, I don't get that, right? Or if you're writing international journalism, there are gonna be some people who are like eating that up. Like, I would be right now, anyone who's writing about Ukraine at this moment in time, or in general, I'm interested in Ukraine, but especially right now, it's pretty interesting. So it's like, find your niche, find people whose opinions you respect, and go toward that, I guess, and to not be easily discouraged, because sometimes, like, I'll have the experience, I've had it several times, like a press that I'll think, I love what you publish, so you're gonna love what I'm doing, right? Because like I'm doing what you all do there and what you publish, and they'll just be like, oh no, not interested. So it's not that it's always reciprocal or always a perfect fit, but I would just say to, find your niche, find the places that you want to write or write toward or write for, and try to have a relationship there, and then you'll kind of figure out, okay, this thing's working for them, this thing isn't, and that kind of thing. Well, thank you so much for coming. It was just really, really wonderful to see you all.